Or
Yeah, so the people like I know in the nightclub, the way that I see them and the knowledge I have of them is completely offline. There's no premeditated Instagram knowledge, and there's no me knowing things about them that like they don't know that I know. So like they share what they want to share, etc. Um, and I think it's also made me more appreciative of attendance. Um, I really like when people show up. And so for the friends that show up, like I value that heavily. And like the thing about the Lunny Club is people show up and they show up every week. And it's made me more appreciative of the physical act of showing up somewhere for someone.
you said earlier that often when people come to the club, they hear the gospel. Is this just something fun you do with your friends because it feels good and it's nice to spend time together? Or does it feel like something bigger than that, a movement?
So I think this is definitely something I've been thinking about. I think the unplugging and the getting offline is 100% something bigger and something that hopefully this generation will take on, particularly as we become parents. I know, like I have some regrets about how early I got my phone and how early this addiction was instilled in me, and I I can hope that my generation as parents will be able to better manage our kids and give them technology at appropriate ages, unlike the super young ages that I and my peers have gotten them.
You know, as I'm hearing you talk, I'm feeling a lot of shame. I won't lie, as a mother. Um, because we as parents do give our kids these devices, but they've become such a ubiquitous part of our lives that it's hard to separate ourselves from how we interact with our phones.
I do feel like my the restrictions, the parental restrictions, also aren't necessarily successful all the time. Like I see the exact same things that my parents implemented, which really were not that um, insane measures of restricting, did not succeed whatsoever with my brother. Um, and so maybe it's not even about what your parents do, but it's like the general feeling of the generation, how we sort of hold back technology from its reliance in our life. Maybe it's not something your parents can do for you, but like the way that you can see the device and how that is in your life, whether you're a parent or you're a kid or a teenager or whatnot.
Like, you need to come to this yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Have you ever thought about trying to find a middle ground with your smartphone, using it more intentionally, but not getting rid of it altogether? Luddite light, if you will.
I definitely think it's possible for some people, but from what I've experienced, I don't feel like it's possible for me right now. And oftentimes, like people describe to me how they're actually really good about their smartphone and they can use it in moderation, and that is so admirable. And I really, really wish I could do it. I don't feel like with my relationship with technology that I could do it. And particularly as a teenager, I don't feel like I can do it. So for me, the light lifestyle isn't optimal, but for others, 100%, it's a possibility.
How much of a purist, though, are you? I mean, because there's certain things that are much harder without a smartphone, like calling an Uber. I mean, do you end up borrowing other people's phones or have people do things for you?
So when we went to the like I mentioned one night club, we went to a Jeffrey Lewis show, and then it ended up being really late. It was like 12. So at that point, I just called my parents, and they called me an Uber. Um, and so that is one thing that like I won't be able to do when I'm older, but hopefully I think as I get older, like I can try and avoid situations like that.
Do you think it's going to get harder and harder, though, as technology just invades so many different spaces in our life when you try and do that thought experiment about when you're older?
I definitely fear that. And I notice like when I go to a restaurant and the menus are completely barcoded, and I have to like look on my parents' phone, I I fear that with technologies, becoming more and more prominent in every aspect, that it will be more and more difficult. I don't know what how I'll feel about, being a Luddite in the future. I don't know what that'll mean to the job market. If I'll even be able to work. Right now, it's working for me as a 17-year-old. Maybe it won't work for me in college. I am hoping that I'll be able to be a Luddite in college, but I remember my brother actually telling me you needed like some sort of two-step verification for like logging into a school account. That there was a time when I didn't have a phone at all, and I just could not be a student in college if I didn't have that. So yeah, I do fear that there's some level of like technology completely taking over, making it not possible for me to be a Luddite and still like exist in like the working world.